You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Dini Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
Yo, what is up, and welcome to another awesome episode of Vigilantes Radio. I'm your host, dini-mussolini, and I just want to, again, welcome you guys. Yeah, we're going to have an awesome time tonight. We have a very special guest for the interview, so stick around for that. Make sure you fill up your drinks or grab a few snacks because, yeah, we're going to dive deep, you know. Anyway, anyone who is alive is constantly changing. Indeed, it is change which largely defines life. Every part of you is always changing. Your mood changes from day to day, hour to hour. Your body changes, your thoughts, relationships, expectations, and surroundings continue to change. And all that change, there is an enormous opportunity. Change is a fact of life. It will happen whether you do anything or not. Growth, progress, achievement, and success are all forms of change. Change can take these positive forms when it is intentionally controlled and directed. The energy of change can either lift you up or push you down. The distinction is not based on change itself, but on what you make of it. Changes will happen. You cannot avoid them. To do so would be to avoid life itself. Oh yeah. Instead, see the opportunity in every change. Direct the unstoppable energy of change to the purpose of your choice. Embrace the changes and seize their ever-present opportunities. You know, when we first started this podcast, you know, we started out with one listener for a very long time, yeah. And I began to have different ideas, different ways to go with the show. I had co-hosts, no co-hosts, a round table, just talk. And then I finally figured things out as the show was changing from month to month, year to year. And now we're at the format that we are now. You know, we started with one listener. Now we have 37,000 live listeners. And we're still changing. You know, this show is still going to change more because that's just how businesses grow. That's how life is. You know, different technology comes out and you may want to change your microphone. You may want to change your interface. Don't be scared of change. Embrace it and grow with it. It'll teach you something about yourself, you know? All right, take that from me, dini-mussolini. That is my word, and word is bond.
You're live in the mix. Let's get this started.
Yo, hello and welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Music or Inside the Book. Inside the Business, where we dive into the minds of the people who create marvelous things. It feels so good to be back with you guys once again. So one time for my people who are indigos, crystalline or starseeds, or for my Vigilantes audience family. And 2 times for my people who are vegetarian or vegans. If you're like me, we are averaging over 37,000 live listeners, and we've been at this for 4 solid years. I appreciate all you guys who've been rocking with the kids period, on this journey, and we are still evolving, baby. It is all because of you, most definitely. We are the people who have dedicated their lives to music, spirituality, business, literature, art, movies, and research in every aspect, and we want to allow you an opportunity to tell your story. Man, we've had celebrities on our show, from Grammy Award-winning artists to nominees to actors, comedians, CEOs, technology geniuses, visual artists, from authors to professors and aliens. Or people who think they're aliens. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Come on our show and talk to me. So check it out. To book an interview or just to share a real cool story, email me at vradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. And that's V as in Victor. I'm passionate about what I do, just as passionate about what you do, and together, yes, together, we can get your voice heard by the people who should hear it. So let's create something incredible. You know the number to dial, 701-801-9813. Text that number to your buddy right now and tell them to tune in to connect with us or our guests, or you can hop in the mix directly from our website, onlyonemediagroup.com. Right from the homepage, you can slap that go live button and you'll be right here live in the mix and in the chat room with all of us. Feel free to shoot over some questions to ask our guests while they are here, but only as time permits. Sometimes my guests and I talk entirely too much and we take up the entire hour. And as always, all episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/Only One Media Group, iTunes, YouTube, or any app from the Google Play or iTunes Store, or over at our website. And that goes for every single episode that we ever aired.
Express yourself. Rent a room by the hour, don't bother with a shower. Shrimp scampi I devour, this candy really sour. High like Eiffel Tower, wish you could excite me. Bitch, I'm like Kenny Powers mixed with lightning. So what are you asking? I'm a valuable asset. Give me a handful of acid. I'ma act to ass and I'm grinding, getting tracks and keep players. I'm attracted, making bangers, relaxing. My chick, oh, miss attractive. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. I heard what you said, I should be dead. Fell asleep off dirty Sprite, wiping tears out of my eyes. Smoke joint, log miles. I'm so fucking high, don't act surprised. I'm spazzing on the beat, I made this in my sleep. I haven't been eating, only stress eating me. I could take all these pills at once, swallow one for lunch. My brain going crazy, it only speaks exactly what I want, not what I need. Like some therapy, not some M363s. I don't trust anybody. She a thought, not a rock. She hit that rock, moved on the needles. I don't need her, give me Pringles. I remember listening to Tupac Greatest Hits Part 2 and Matt's Regal and Garth Brooks. Why isn't weed legal? Y'all know I'm really had an Oldsmobile. The only thing I need is a beat and a feeling. Fentanyl took my friends and took Mac too. Why y'all sell that shit knowing what it can do? Fuck that. Check yourself. Fuck that. I was feeling suicidal, but I started thinking about who am I? Bitch, I'm a superhuman, do or die. There's nothing new to I can be anything I want to be. I'll be damned, I'll go ham, speak everything into existence.
All right. You just got finished checking out Chris-Valentine with his song, Check Yourself. Oh yeah, man, I love this kid, man. I love this dude. He came into my shop one time, Radio Shack. I was running this shop in Radio Shack, and he came in looking for all type of things, you know, that you get from Radio Shack. Not too many people know about that, you know, how to get your stuff from Radio Shack and do it yourself. So yeah, he comes in, and I could tell like there was something different about this guy, and we began to just talk about the different things you were looking for. And as I was explaining, he was like, yo, what you know about this? And it kind of went from there. And then I told him what I did, and he told me what he did. And I was like, well, spit something. And he did. Right on the spot. And ever since then, it's just been incredible to watch his evolution as he's changed, you know, not only as a musician, but as a person. So yeah, change, you got to embrace that, guys, always. So it's going to be an excellent experience to talk with artists who are clearly inspired by what they create. So lots of love for the skill and heart behind the music of Chris Valentine. So come on, vigilantes and my hooligans, take a chill pill, sit back, and check out what Chris has to say about his music and what he's all about. Let's find out what we are getting ourselves into. So with that, let's go ahead and welcome Chris Valentine to the show. Hey, man, you're now live in the mix with all of us. How's it going?
So what's going on, brother?
Oh, man, all things Chris, man. That's what's happening. Yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate you having me, man. I'm really excited.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, man. How's 2020 looking for you?
Oh, it's looking great, man. Just continuing to work on new projects and stay busy and keep hustling. Just trying to make bangers.
Most def. All right, man, so let's go ahead and dive into this thing. Well, first thing, man, I want to know about your genre. And a lot of times these days, genres are really not that important, especially if you are a prolific artist such as yourself. But what I did pull out of my hat was something sort of like chill hip-hop, dream hip-hop, something like Kid Cudi, J Dilla, Swayze in this category. But you tell me, man, you're the person who's making these Sonic Avengers. Tell me, what is it? What genre are you in? What do you call it?
Honestly, man, when people ask me, they ask me first off, they're like, are you a rapper? And I'm like, not exactly. I'm a musician. But I really feel like the genre that we're in is more like experimental hip-hop. And I like that you referenced Kid Cudi and like J Dilla and some of these prolific artists, because I think a lot of their music is, when you think about it, when you're doing vocals and stuff, like I know like a lot of Kid Cudi songs, like he'll punch in on a bar and he'll punch in on a bar. It's about the overall, the sonics of the song and just how it makes you feel. It's not always a one take go in and just rap bars, but I would say definitely more along the experimental hip hop side of things, because obviously there's just so many different genres of hip hop in general.
Yeah. Now there is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 20 years ago it was just rap or hip hop.
Right. Times have definitely changed, man. People have evolved in so many different directions. It's crazy what you can do by yourself.
Yeah, most definitely. So, I always like to, this whole series is called Inside the Music. It's kind of going behind the scenes and asking artists why they do the things they do in music, their inspirations. So that's kind of always my thing, finding out the origin story. So what is the genesis of Chris Valentine?
Well, I guess I could start from the very beginning. I played music when I was younger, and so now I'm 32 years old. When I was probably in junior high, around the age of 10 or 12, I did the whole get a guitar, learn how to play the guitar thing. And I found some solace in it, and then I guess it kind of fizzled out a little bit because it wasn't attention-wise. It didn't just captivate me like I wanted it to. So, but over the years, I've always had guitars. I've always played music and just kind of stayed inspired. But I never really ultimately committed to vocals and stuff. And I was always infatuated by rap. You can hear it in talking about in Check Yourself, listening to Tupac Greatest Hits Part 2 and Matt's Regal. That's my brother. He's 5 years older than me, and I remember being in junior high, and he would pick me up, and he had this 92 Corolla. Well, he had an Oldsmobile, but then he had a Corolla, and he worked at Sound Shop in Laurel. I'm from Laurel, Mississippi. In Jones County, the Free State of Jones, and we would just ride around and jam this hip hop and different types of music, but more or less I was always infatuated by hip hop. Mm-hmm. And we'd hit the back roads and we listened to that stuff, man. And as I got older and I went through high school, I guess I kind of had a shift. I had some family problems, and I kind of was just in a party stage. And then for most of the beginning of my adult life, I would say up until being about 25 or 26, I was in this party stage of life and kind of just hustling and living on the seam of my pants. And then, honestly, I went through some stuff, and I got addicted to opiates. And more specifically, I'm not scared to admit, because I'm honestly really proud of myself how far I've come. But I got addicted to heroin, and that was the main thing. It was like culturally, it was more of a thing that was around. And to make a long story short, with that, I got in a shit ton of trouble. And basically, I got arrested, and I was in jail, and I'm like detoxing. And I'm talking about, I was a dope boy too. So the cops took all my shit. So not only did they take all my shit, but they took all my dignity as well. And you think about, you've lived in this place, in this small town, your whole life, pretty much. I ventured out and lived in Seattle for a year or two here and there, but more or less, my spot was Laurel. That's where I grew up. And but it was like front page of the paper, Jones County execute large drug bust. I was literally at the bottom of everything, man. And it was devastating to me. And, and before that, in the music spectrum, I was always just like, no, dude, you're just some random weird white dude. You don't need to be rapping. Everything that if you rap, it's going to be a joke, or do a rap about going to the fair or just like weird shit. And, so when I went through all that stuff, man, it changed me, and I didn't have any reason to give a fuck anymore. And I just let go, and I was like, you know what? My dad came and bailed me out of jail, and he brought me up to Brandon, and he checked me into a Hilton Head Inn at Tinseltown over there in Pearl, as you know where that is. It's between Meridian and Jackson for anybody trying to figure out what's going on in Mississippi. And I don't know I'm sure you've seen the movie Trainspotting. A lot of older generation cats have definitely seen Trainspotting, but it's a 90s movie with Ewan McGregor in it. It's about heroin addicts in London. Well, there's this scene, and this dude is like in his room, and it's like Panavision wide angle, and he's detoxing, and it's just like the most horrific feeling, and so that's what I did. My dad put me in a hotel room, and I detoxed. And in the next couple of weeks, I got my shit together. I got a job. I started working at the chicken plant there in Scott County. And when I was working there, I remember I didn't have a phone with a data plan probably a couple of months after I got in trouble, because I'm just out on bail at this point. And so it's like the only thing you can do when you're out on bail is get sober and get a job and wait for your lawyer to call you to tell you, you need to go into court or whatever. And so basically, I got there at the chicken plant. I was working in the shipping office, and I had this spiral notebook, and I finally got a phone with a data plan on it, and I started listening to beats. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to start rapping. And I remember I had this spiral notebook and a Sharpie, and I would write everything in all caps. And I would say probably 75% of it was trash, but I'm not going to lie. There's some stuff that I still have that I've gone through, and I might have taken like a piece of a bar or a piece of there was some really witty stuff, because I was in a really weird place at that point, and I'd never developed as an artist, and I'd never even really tried. So I slowly but surely started to write and record a little bit. Like I had an old Mac Tower that I held on to that the cops didn't know about. But it didn't have Logic or anything that I could make beats with really on it. It might have had GarageBand, but I didn't know shit about making beats. And so I would kind of record, and like now I could go back, if I found those recordings and listen to them, like I'm pretty much embarrassed. But honestly, it's crazy how far you can evolve if you just stay consistent. But so I ended up getting a promotion to the IT department, and I got a MacBook Air. And within 2 weeks of having the MacBook Air, I was like, you know what? I had GarageBand, and I was like, I've got to download Logic. And then I downloaded Logic, and I started tinkering with it. And then this was about 8 or 9 months after I'd gotten arrested, and then they called me to come back to Jones County to be sentenced. Then I got sentenced to house arrest. And I actually believe that I met you at Radio Shack. It was like right when I got that job, but it was before I got sentenced, because I was in Brandon. I was house sitting for my brother, and I think I had a mic and an interface in the MacBook Air, but I needed like some kind of adapter or something, and that's when I still remember the song that I played. You and I talked about that the other night. But yeah, so at that point, I was still really experimental. I didn't know a lot about audio and engineering and production, but I was starting to learn. And I was like, well, I'm not about to just get invested in the song and make a really badass song and then have to hunt down some YouTube producer. Or I was just like, if I'm going to catch a vibe, I'm going to create the vibe. And that's literally how I trained my brain to do it. There's no other way I know how to make music other than to create this. Just like, if you create a good melody, then you literally, you can have a melody and it's just one instrument, and that can have words go to it almost immediately. Like, I feel like some of the best songs I've ever made, I created the melody and I didn't even go into the drum beat, and I just started creating like the hook, you know. But anyway, so then I got sentenced to house arrest, and then for the next about half a year, when I was on house arrest, that's when I just really bucked down, and all I did was sit at my house every day after I got home from work, and all I did was make beats and record songs. And I probably recorded, like, I think we estimated I recorded probably 60 songs in 6 or 7 months. I mean, it really wasn't that hard, honestly, just when you're sitting there and you have nothing to do, and you're on house arrest in the middle of nowhere. But then I finally paroled off house arrest, and man, I just wanted to take a second to send some good energy to the stuff going on at the penitentiary and the MDOC, because I've been in the system and I've seen what's going on, you know, and I don't know how nationally, how well known it is, but there's just some inhumane conditions. It's just awful that I hate that it comes to the point where resources can't be appropriated in the right direction, because it really is a really fucked up situation. The whole system is pretty broken, if you ask me. But yeah, so needless to say, when I was off house arrest, the first thing I did was went to a real studio with a real engineer with the same mindset and with beats that I made myself. And the beats were getting a lot better at this point, and started recording. And that was probably 2 years ago, honestly. And then about a year ago, I moved to Jackson, and then I linked up with some people in Jackson, and I've just slowly but surely been elevating the quality of my music and staying consistent. And like I always tell people, you ain't gonna soar with eagles hanging with chickens. I mean, you got to get around people that inspire you, that you can learn from. Like, honestly, bro, you're an eagle. You inspire me.
Thanks, man. That means a lot.
But yeah, so in the past year, we put together this Violent Crime 2.0 EP. And honestly, it's 2.0 because 1.0 were 6 songs that were, you know, more of the old version of Chris. And I feel like in the last 6 months, I shifted, I evolved. And I told my producer engineer, best friend, Shell, I was like, dude, I can't put out a project and not be 1,000 about it. And that's where we decided to pull like 3 or 4 songs, and then we plugged in 3 or 4 new songs, and then we had the old song. That we had 3 songs that we liked from Violent Crime 1.0 that ultimately became Violent Crime 2.0. And now at this point, now this has become an addiction. Like, I literally, I had the flu, honestly, on New Year's Eve, so I've made probably two or 3 decent beats in the past week, but usually making beats and creating and working on songs is like an everyday thing for me, because it's just like, I've learned so much and implemented what I've learned and continued to grow that I've literally, like, I've watched other people in all different facets and with different dolls and different hardware make beats, and it's like, it reminds me of like a football team. Like, you got to have people that have different positions, that do different things, that are different sizes, that have different, you know, cardio abilities. It's just like, but we all work together to create something. So it's like every different type of genre and subgenre of hip hop, or every type of music, it's just important that, you know, that you come together and everybody just creates a badass product. And it's really, really become a thing to me that I just want to be able to inspire people like I was inspired, because I can honestly say I feel like I would be dead or in a really, really bad situation had I not just automatically turned to music. Like, I basically I've made some friends along the way, but a lot of friendships and previous, you know, connections I had with people have kind of dissipated, because it's just like, when you go through some shit, man, your true friends and family, they show. And it's like, I just chose to be alone. And part of being alone was just making bangers, man. It's like before, when I was alone, I would just do drugs or sell drugs. And it was just like, that's all I knew. I just had a hustle. And I was just like, I finally just replaced that with something that was positive that I could build with. And then I could really just dig, like we always say, dig in. Like you feel that emotion in something or in a song and a feeling and a sound, and you just dig in and you just keep pushing. Like, and all I gotta say, man, is the music that I'm working on now, Violent Crime 2.0 will forever be my heart. But the music I'm working on now, I mean, it's pretty incredible. Like, I like going to the studio, and then you walk away from there. It's funny that I would say the past probably. So I go to the studio twice a month, but I also have a studio in my house. I mean, I actually purchased the same mic that I record with at the studio. It's a Luke Audio Y56. So if anybody's a tech nerd, or they like just music stuff, Luke Audio is a fantastic product, and it's called the Luke Audio Y56. It's a tube mic, and Alan is actually from Mississippi, which is cool. But it's a really affordable mic for what it can do. It has 3 different capsules, and it's just very dynamic. It's flexible. You can do a lot with it. But so I have the mic in my house, so it's like that. I had a friend over here, a couple of nights ago. He said, you need to document this more. It's like, this is incredible. People need to know that you can just sit here and like we can sit on the corner of my bed and just create like a freaking hit song. I mean, literally, I have all the stuff I need here. But one thing that is important with music too is like, don't get too alone, because I realize and I really appreciate the value of working with other people. And I found myself in working with other producers and engineers. So it's like a lot of times usually I can get anywhere from 70 to 90% of the idea almost finished, or I can at least get, the beat and the hook vocals, and then I'll take that to the studio. Or maybe I make 3 songs before that studio session, but we decide, hey, this is the one song we're going to work on for 5 hours. So it's like, really, I've just streamlined the process of how I can make songs, because it's so important to me, man, to be able to express how I feel and to continue to venture further forward in this, because I know that everybody has a different way of doing it, and I'm just really confident in the way that I've picked up how to do it, and I've learned a lot along the way, and I just want to continue to inspire people and keep moving, pushing forward, and creating awesome music.
Yeah, man, most definitely. I've seen a lot of people move out of Mississippi, to bigger cities that are more music infused. Why did you choose to relocate to Jackson?
Well, so I met my friend that owns the studio, and he's in Jackson and Fondren. And it was crazy, bro. Like, when I got here and I went to the studio, I also had a mutual connection put me in contact with this guy, because he knew that I was trying to push forward as an artist, and he knew that I used Logic. And he said, well, you should go to this guy and just, he said, hit him up on Instagram and tell him you use Logic and that you just want to learn about engineering. Because it's like an invite only, really, and it's not because I'm cooler than anybody else. It's just like it's an energy compatibility thing. So we set up, and he does this with everybody. And now I've become an ambassador of doing it. But it's like, he invited me to the studio to come in for 15 minutes. He gave me a tour, and we talked. And I said, yeah, man, I've been using Logic, and I track myself sometimes in Logic, and I want to learn more about it. And it was like, the moment I stepped into the studio, bro, it's like, you've been there. It's literally, it's a house. It's just it's a non-disclosed house in Fondren. It doesn't have a sign. It's not advertised. It is literally in an old house in Fondren. And it is just like, there was something about this magical energy when I stepped in there. And then it's like, and then coincidentally, there's like new construction on the corner of this road, like of the street that it's off of, and they're building condos. Like, there's a vibration in the city, because the people that are investors, they know that. They know that there's going to be like, they know that it's shifting. The music industry, the art industry, the real estate industry, all of it is shifting. Like, yeah, you can look at one thing right now, but if you have tunnel vision and you like vision, and you may not see the long haul of like, Jackson could end up being a serious, like, yeah, statistically it's smaller, and I get it. Smaller areas are less opportunities, but that doesn't mean that there can't still be a more predominant force of, music industry or just art energy, period. So it's like when I felt that, I'm just raw. I'm like raw Mississippi, bro. Like I've been repping that my whole life. Like I've lived in other places. I lived in other states. I lived on the West Coast. And I just remember being in Seattle and being irritated that I couldn't get sweet tea. And then I remember and I mean, being a Southerner, I love that. I love those places. I love visiting, but I realize I'm a better tourist there than I am an actual, citizen. I just love the South, and like, yes ma'am, no ma'am. That's how my mama taught me, man, to just have manners and to just be Southern. And it's just like things that you pick up naturally. And I found this energy in Jackson, and it just, I don't know. It's almost like it becomes a part of who you are. And I decided that I didn't. And another thing I like about it too is, there's not as many people. So like, if you are doing something that's a lot different, like you stand out, like no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. So, Violent Crime 2.0 is still fairly new, still has baby breath, and you're already working on new music, new releases. What is it about, the different formulas of today? Like some people would do the single strategy where they just release single after single after single after single, and some even have full-blown projects, but they chop them down to like 6 or 7 song EPs. Which formula do you normally take when you're releasing?
So, since I am a new artist and Violent Crime 2.0 was my first project, I felt like I didn't necessarily have the resources to just invest in and it just wouldn't make sense as a new artist, regardless of how much experience I have in life. I just didn't need to come out with an album off the gate, but I also didn't want to release a single. So I felt like you needed to have a meal plan for Violent Crime. You need to have a few different things to choose from. So I would say from this point on, I definitely am, now that I have an EP out, I have a plan to release some singles. In 2020, I'm definitely going to release some singles. But ultimately, my goal is to either release another EP or release an album. I feel like an album is kind of like where you're at in life and as a human being, and kind of like your tastefulness as an artist. It's not like, I know that Chance the Rapper came out with mixtapes and stuff, and then now he's put out more of a full-length album. I mean, different artists do different stuff, and I mean, even some of the biggest artists, technically an album is considered 7 tracks. So it's and you mean, you've seen Pusha T, Kids See Ghosts, Kanye, they're putting out these short albums. I feel like the next thing I really have, and if resources will allow it, what I would really like to do is put out an album, because I feel like that's more of a sit down and pour yourself a drink and let's really get to know this person. I feel like Violent Crime 2.0 is the introduction, and now that you get to know me, the next things that I put out are going to be the things that are going to get your attention. This gets your attention, but I'm talking about on a artist development level, because it's I'm evolving faster than I can comprehend. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that and just enjoy the moment for a second, because it's the come up is the most beautiful thing. It's I'll never be able to relive this moment.
Right. Most definitely. All right. So what challenges did you face during the recordings of Violent Crime 2.0?
I would say some of the challenges that I faced were learning to as a producer, because I think there's definitely a difference in being a beat maker and a producer. When I first started recording Violent Crime 1.0 / Violent Crime 2.0, I was a beat maker, really and truly, because I hadn't been around other producers and seen it. And so once I started really digging in and learning more about this music, I think the most important thing is to be a sponge, and to accept that you don't know everything, and to respect the opinions of people that have been doing things for longer than you, or that just have good ideas or can help you develop as an artist. So I think some of the things that I went through were finding my sound, finding the rhythmic patterns that I wanted to commit to and not overthinking things. Like, because one of the most important things as a producer, because I work with other artists and help them create their own music, is too. And I mean, I'm talking about, there's a couple of cats that I work with, and they're geniuses. But at the same time, you can easily be a genius and have a good idea, and then literally spend 45 minutes trying to dial in what the reverb sounds like on the snare. Like, bro, you're not mixing your track yet. Like, get your supplies and stick something to the wall, and then worry about all that logistical bullshit later. So I think that's become a specialty of mine, is knowing how to spend time and navigate around time management on doing these things. Because there's a good friend of mine, his name is Seth Power. Everybody should check him out. But he's releasing an album tomorrow, actually. And he's kind of like I would say he's kind of like a Southern John Mayer-esque. But Seth, I mean, and don't get me wrong, creating songs like singer-songwriter takes a little bit more effort, and it doesn't come together as quickly as an electronic beat, rap, R&B style song. But I always give him a hard time, because I call Seth sessions. Because like Seth, he can have a Logic project pulled up in the studio, and like his project will be pulled up, and he'll have 150 tracks. I'm talking about. Sometimes being thorough is great, but I also feel like there's times where being too thorough can inhibit some of the creativity of the process. But that's just my way of doing things. My attention span is like, that's why I use an MPC, because I always tell people that. It's like my attention span works in 30-second intervals. Like I've had to battle that through this whole process. So like the hardware that I use is Logic, and then I use an MPC Live. An MPC Live is portable, and it's actually the only MPC that's ever been made that's portable, but also that it's standalone. I mean, other MPCs are standalone, but they're not portable. This one has a battery. So that's really been able to help me dial in my time management and learn how to create good shit. And I'm talking, I've been to parties before, and we'll plug the MPC up to the PA system, and I'm talking within 90 seconds, I'll have a beat loop going, and there will be random people rapping through a PA mic. I mean, so through this process and recording all this, man, I've just learned to just kind of just be easy going with it, but be realistic, and then to know which direction to go with certain songs. Like, because a lot of times I'll have 5 or 6 ideas. I was actually listening to some voice notes earlier in the car that I found on my phone, and the funny thing is The Good Life. I actually found the original voice note for The Good Life, and I was like playing the beat out of the MPC, because like pretty much 90% of the beat was made just on the MPC by itself, and I just thought it was cool to hear the evolution behind a voice note, a reference track, and the actual song itself after it's finished. But that song was powerful enough as a reference track through the MPC that it was like there was no way that we weren't going to commit and create this track. So I know I've definitely conditioned myself to learn and to accept more, and to just be more open-minded, but also be effective with my process. And then another thing that I was going to mention too is like, so I know you know Kamikaze, but Kamikaze, we kind of had like a consultation probably a year and a half ago, and he was helping me like kind of get some. And the funny thing is the music I had then, I'll probably never put any of it out, but he gave me a lot of good advice, and we were talking about physical, and he's like, he had me running around in circles rapping the lines to my songs, and I realized at that point that it's like, why would I not aspire to be just in better shape than everybody around me, or in general better shape than I've ever been. Maybe it's just me versus myself, really. But and so since then I got the Under Armour Map My Run app, and I went to the Fleet Feet and got some running shoes. And so for the past year and some change, like I run probably anywhere from 4 to 6 times a week. And I found with that it's like I don't get winded, man. I can perform my tracks effectively, and I can rap better. I can think clear. I think that's one thing that's kind of like underrated with artists. They don't realize that, dude, if you're conditioned and you can find that peace through physical fitness, a lot of times some of the best writing I've ever had has come after some type of exercise. And it really is something that I chase. It's almost like, runner's high. Like, I can get runner's high, and then I can sit down and make a beat really effectively because, Lord knows we all get writer's block and beat block and all that kind of stuff, but you just got to push through it. So I've just learned to push through different things that, could hold me back, but I just use whatever I've got to push forward.
Most definitely. So, man, what are some of your influences when you're writing and recording?
So, the thing about me is with influences, a lot of people ask me that, and I everybody was pulling up their Spotify Wrapped and the most artists they listen to, which I don't use Spotify, I use Apple Music, but I would say I've evolved. Like, there's classics that I've always listened to, like that I came up on, and as I've gotten further, I've really I just absorb more and more, and it's like I'm not ever specific to any artist, or I don't push too far. Like, sure, originally I came up on Tupac and Jay-Z and Kanye and all like that, but also I've gone through like Mos Def and Atmosphere. I've gone through, like, when I was on the West Coast, I got really Blue Scholars. I don't know if you know who that is. I've gotten in some really experimental hip-hop phases. I remember driving across the country listening to like Mos Def and Talib Kweli. But don't get me wrong, I'm not religious about it. We could play those songs off these albums. I'm not going to be able to recite it, but it's just something that inspired me. But here lately, since I've been in the Jackson rap phase, probably one of my main inspirations is going to be Mac Miller. I just love his cadence and his sound and his style, but honestly, where I draw the most inspiration are from people that are my friends that I know that make fantastic music, and local artists here, Dev Mac, Dear Silas, Dollar Black. They're my producer friends that send me beats. Here lately, honestly, bro, I've been listening to instrumentals off either off YouTube, or there's an Apple Music beat instrumental playlist, and a lot of times I can just get some really clear thoughts. But also other times I might be listening to a whole other song that already has lyrics on it, and then I'll just spit out 16 bars to something. Like, my writing style is also pretty unconventional. It's kind of like, I guess you could call it like free prose or free poetry. It's basically free poetry, a lot of it. Sometimes I'll create a hook and write around it, but a lot of it is just talking shit,
Right. Most definitely. All right, guys, are y'all ready for some music? We're almost at 10 o'clock. We have Chris-Valentine with his song, The Good Life, and we'll be right back with more Chris-Valentine.
Face all my problems, cause I need a taste of the good life. I could sit and tell you lies, but I might be straight this one time. I only wanna feel you next to me. Girl, I touch you, my heart skips a beat. It's never too late to take another day. Let's live tonight. About that Mercedes, go crash off the lot. We trying to get crazy, just catching a bus. I am so reckless, you're so fine. No more impressions, we are undressing. Interstate 10, down memory lane. I feel like I know you've been hoping and praying. I'm fixing to show you, love, we gon' make it. I feel the connection, this is a blessing. Go take a marker and let's say the date. No medication, love numbing the pain. Birthplace of music, others are clueless. We're gonna do this, it must be our fate. Too much confusion, exiting optional. No convolution, maneuver the obstacles. Future of everything, all up to us. Mission no longer impossible. I can't face all my problems, cause I need a taste of the good life. I could sit and tell you lies, but I might be straight this one time. I only wanna feel you next to me. Girl, I touch you, my heart skips a beat. It's never too late to take another day. Let's live tonight. think I love you, but this realm is limited. I think I really forgot what forgiveness is. A little bit of pomegranate, Burt's Bees, wax in my pocket. No time to reminisce when you're running out of options. 150 a zip, lines crossing, don't be a hostage. The name of the game is survival, be cautious. Text me when you get home, texting on a flip phone, it's been known. I've been finessing things like a Flintstone, a skit stone. I need a Chris clone, my lips on. She unbuttoned my trousers and she let out a big moan. Now it's a blessing that I'm healthy. Instead of popping pills, feeling helpless. I don't think you understand the hell I've seen. I can't face all my problems cause I need a taste of the good life. I could sit and tell you lies, but I might be straight this one time. I only wanna feel you next to me. Girl, I touch you, my heart skips a beat. It's never too late to take another day. Let's live tonight. Words like dragon glass, we ain't having that. Take your average ass, see your way up back. Sack of your weird, this sack of weed will bring closure to your financial needs. What is he talking about? His words hit me like a needle. Up at the ass, crack a doll making beats. Flexing my words, flying around like an eagle. Next thing you hear, he a rapper and a singer. Bitch, please, I manifest my destiny. Yo, two-tone Lexus don't really impress me. Bitch, please, I manifest my destiny. Yo, two-tone Lexus don't really impress me. Pass this down to my grandkids, an investment. I never really had shit, but I'll always have this. It shows what you can do when you're active. Stay low-key, always implement action. I was unhealthy a bit, now I see. I do it for myself without distractions.
All right. We are back again. That was Chris Valentine with his song, The Good Life. So you got to conquer procrastination. When something needs to be done, go ahead and do it as soon as possible. Putting it off until later only adds to the energy and effort required of you. The less you procrastinate, the more you'll get done and the more effective you'll be. So how do you conquer procrastination? First, think of all the undesirable things that will happen if you don't get the job done. It's easy to procrastinate when you refuse to even think about the negative consequences of not taking action. So fight procrastination by focusing on the undesirable things it would surely bring. And if you need a little help with that, I could recommend a book. It's called The War of Art. Not the Art of War. It's called The War of Art. I forget who it's written by, but yeah, it's definitely a book dedicated to help artists, actors, painters, even any entrepreneur who kind of struggle with, I'll do that later, to doing it now because it's your destiny, it's your dream, you owe it to yourself, So I definitely recommend that book. Oh, it's by Stephen Pressfield, yeah. I used to listen to this book every morning, audio book version. So yeah, get that as well. Usually I listen to that at the gym. But anyway, so you control that, beyond all the things that are undesirable from procrastinating. Think of the positive consequences that will come when you do take action. Strengthen your own desire and motivation to get the job done, then decide on a good starting place. Accept that you probably won't get it perfect and just jump right in. Don't be afraid. Get it done. Do it now. You know it needs to be done. Keep in mind what will happen if you don't, and compare that to what will happen if you do. Nobody wants to be 85, 90 years old reminiscing about the things you could have did. That regret is painful. I don't want you to go through that, So make the choice that will bring the best results. It's your life, of course. Stop putting it off. Move forward with it now. Take that from me, Dini-Mussolini. That is my word, and word is bond. For right now, let's bring back the man of the moment, Chris Valentine. You're back live with us. I love that song, man, The Good Life. I really love that song.
Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's definitely one of my favorites, too.
Yeah, most definitely, man. That's kind of the song that is like the people's choice, right?
Definitely. I think when I created that song, like I said, it clicked. It's like I feel like in the hip hop space, you know, when you have or just really with any creative songwriting period, when you have a hook that is just like, I can't face all my problems because I need a taste. It's like the cadence of it just falls naturally, you know? It's almost, and I guess what the song kind of means is like exactly what you're saying. It's like I'm so lost in thinking that I need something that I'm losing. I'm partially losing the moment, you know, like in the materialism or the, I guess, how can I say it, like the trivial shit. I might be over focused on that when it really doesn't matter. It's about just doing what's right and just finding your balance.
Most definitely. How personal is this song for you?
I think the song is really personal because it really kind of goes into, you know, I guess you could say a struggle with drugs and relationships, women, because it's like a lot of times when I make music, it can be hypothetically speaking, and I don't think I'm alone with this, but it could be hypothetically speaking to a person that is a bunch of different types of people that I've encountered in one, and then like you're talking to that, and then maybe I'm talking to myself for a second, and it's like by the end of it, I've been able to overcome this trivial shit that it's like, because with social media, the advent of social media and all the things that are out now, it's like it's really easy to flip open your phone and to be discouraged and to see what someone else is doing with their life and just be like, man, I feel like I'm really far behind, or I'm not, you know, living in this abundance that I envisioned for myself. But it's like, what is the wealth of abundance? The wealth of abundance can just be having good relationships or I often say that the thing about me is I believe that I'm incorruptible in the sense that I don't adhere to anything. Like, I don't give a shit about things. Like, yeah, we all want stuff. It makes your life easier and better. But I don't give me my it's like I could lose everything right now and it wouldn't matter because I would just go online or go to Guitar Center and finance another MPC and start from scratch. Like, nothing is taken from me. Like, you can't take what you can't see. Like, and even from like a materialistic standpoint, from a law enforcement standpoint, like, you can't seize my mind. I mean, that's almost like a when you're serving time type of mindset. You know what I mean? It's like when you really have a rich mindset and you really find yourself in the things that balance you. Like, no one can take that from you.
Most def. All right, man. Let everybody know where they can connect with you online.
Okay, so my handle on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram is Valencrime, like VALENCRIME, just like the project. And Valencrime 2.0 is streaming on all platforms, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, you name it, it's out there. Find me on Instagram. I do all my own promotion, like, and all my own promo material. I'm also a professional videographer, photographer, so I basically have been documenting myself and some of the stuff, you know, recordings that I do in my room. I've just been carrying a DSLR camera with me to the studio. So anything you see that I put out, I made myself. Yeah, I make the beats too, but I also create my own content. So there's just going to be a lot of stuff coming up, and I've been doing some live performances, so you're going to see some content coming out. So y'all check me out on all platforms and on social media, and just follow my journey with me. And I just want to have fun and make bangers.
Most definitely. All right, man. Well, Chris, it's always a pleasure chopping it up with you, connecting, man, and listening to great music. I wish you nothing but success for 2020. And, yeah, encourage you to push forward, man, and keep going. You got this.
Hey, I appreciate you so much, man. I really enjoyed this. And thank you for having me. It's flattering, honestly. I really appreciate you.
Most definitely. All right, man. All right, listeners, don't go anywhere. We have another special guest, so you want to stick around for that. In the meantime, we'll be right back.
Thank you, my Vigilantes family, as always, for checking out my podcast over here at Vigilantes Radio. All episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/only one media group, iTunes, YouTube, any app that's on a Google Play or iTunes store or our website, and that goes from every single episode that we've ever aired. If you'd like to request music or a particular guest or send something for me to play, email it to theradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. If it's music, please label it by artist and title. Here's my disclaimer. We are genre free, we do not judge, and we absolutely do not base our opinions on hearsay but facts alone. And actually, you can scratch all of that because all of my opinions are always right. That's the bottom line. This is my show, so deal with it. Nah, just kidding. On behalf of myself, Dini-Mussolini, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, either afterwards or live with us. Spread the word because sharing is caring. We stepped up our game just for you guys and our guests to make sure that you have the best experience here on our show. Be sure to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, as well as Spreaker. We always follow back. That is the number one rule. Okay, well, just remember to be yourself and be absolutely great at just doing that. Avoid being too comfortable because you're messing with your potential when you do that. Peace and have a good night.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds of the duo No Longer the Hero. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.onlyonemediagroup.com. This is a Seventh Sign Regime Rebirth Worldwide Syndicate exclusive.